Welcome and thank you for joining me for L'Oreal Professionnel's Total Color Fundamentals. We will be discussing Dia Richesse and Dia Light portfolios today.
So let's talk about demi-permanent. What are some of the common uses for demi-permanent in the salon? I have a few of them listed here. We have tone on tone, darkening, gray blending, and the ability to use low volume developers. With L'Oreal Professionnel, we have two demi-permanents. We have our acid technology and we have our alkaline technology. So let's dive into our acid technology, Dia Light. Dia Light is our acid technology. You're able to darken, you're able to tone. Really what's nice about Dia Light is it is a very sheer formula. Because it's acid, it will lay down that cuticle and add amazing amount of shine. You have the ability to use 6 volume or 9 volume. Your mixing ratio is going to be 1 part color to 1.5 parts of your developer, making sure that you are processing from 2 to 20 minutes. We do recommend that when you're using the levels 9 and 10 in Dia Light, which are called our milkshakes, that you do use 6 volume only, and maximum processing time is 10 minutes. So Dia Light has the ability, because it's acid, to really lay down that cuticle. So it's great for sensitized hair. Anyone that walks into the salon and has maybe curly hair or really frizzy hair and the humidity has really gotten to them, doing a quick Dia Light color service on them will just lay down that cuticle, being that it is an acid technology, and will add an amazing amount of shine. Dia Light does have a clear as well, so you could use clear, or you could also use clear to dilute any color shade that you choose. The milkshakes are going to be on in the first few pages of your book. On the top, you're going to see our milkshakes, and the milkshakes are really just more of a pastel finish, great for toning. I'm going to make sure that you are using your milkshakes, like I mentioned before, with 6 volume only and up to 10-minute processing time. You can use Dia Light on wet or dry hair, or damp, depending on the saturation or really what you're looking to achieve. The difference between 6 and 9 volume really is going to be speed. So the way that I like to think about it is 6 miles per hour, 9 miles per hour. It really going to decide how fast that product gets into the hair. When using it for a toner, that's why we suggest that you use 6 volume with any of the milkshakes, because a lot of times if you've just highlighted somebody's hair and you have achieved the most beautiful color, you just want to add a little bit of tone to it, and you go in with something, if you go in with 9 volume, a lot of times it will get in there too quickly and you could possibly overtone the hair. So my suggestion always is to start with 6 volume, because it will just get in there a little bit slower. For example, if I was a blonde and I used 9.11 with 6 volume on the right side of my head and 9 volume on the left side of my head, and used it for 10 minutes, which side is going to get darker? They both were on for 10 minutes, 6 volume here, 9 volume here. Correct. The 9 volume will appear to be, will be darker, because it has gone right into the hair a lot faster. As I mentioned before, 6 miles per hour, 9 miles per hour. That is the difference. It really doesn't know how to lift or shift or do any of that, and it's really not even going to drive in any deeper. It's just going to go in there faster. Those of you that are starting to use Dia Light regularly or using it for the first time, I always encourage you to use clear. Clear is, to me, like training wheels, really getting your eye used to the amount of tone that is in each one of our milkshakes. So starting with clear, 3 parts clear, 1 part of your shade of choice is not a bad idea, especially when you are just getting started using Dia Light. Dia Richesse really is a tool or a product that is really going to help you with a variety of different color services. When you think of permanent color, what are the two main reasons that you think about when you use permanent color? Great coverage, lifting. Those are the two main reasons. Everything else in the salon, all the other services that you can perform for your clients can be used with Richesse. So Richesse is alkaline technology. Your mixing ratio is still going to be 1 part of your color to 1.5 parts of your developer, 9 or 15 volume. 15 volume will give you 1 to 1.5 levels of lift. Your processing time is still going to be 2 to 20 minutes, depending on what you're trying to achieve. Richesse is a great tool for low lighting. It is great for even breaking the base, because you're really just going to shift that new growth just up to 1.5 levels, right? So it is a great tool for that. Also, if you are using you're just really wanting to refresh someone, you've applied the permanent color onto their new growth and you just want to brighten them up or maybe remove any unwanted warmth, Richesse is a great tool for that. Think about also a copper redhead that just looking a little bit not so bright, and she just wants to really refresh her hair. You definitely can do that by applying Richesse to her hair to give her a nice refresh. 15 volume with a 7.4 on a copper redhead is just amazing, because it does give you the ability to really brighten it up, and that underlying pigment contribution is really going to help support the 7.4. So when using Richesse for gray blending, always encourage you to incorporate natural to that formula, and it really will help blend up to 70% in on that gray hair. The processing time is still, I do recommend up to 20 minutes, just depending on the texture and the density of the hair as well, but 20 minutes will really help ensure that you're going to get as close to 70% blending as possible. The way that I like to explain the differences between Dia-Lite and Richesse, really, if you think about a raw wood table, and you really want to see that wood grain on a raw wood table, you don't want to cover it. You really want to see the natural look of that, right? So you're going to apply Dia-Lite for just a very nice glaze. You can still see quite a bit of that raw wood table underneath, but just a nice little shine and gloss with a little bit of pigment to really enhance that wood color, right, of a wood table. Compare that to highlights, freshly done highlights. You still want to be able to see those highlights, but just add a little bit of color to it. The next step would be Richesse. Okay, great. I love this wood table, has a beautiful glaze, shine, lots of shine to it, but I want a little bit more of a punch to it. I want to be able to walk into my living room and see this raw wood table with a nice, rich color to it. That's when I would go to the next step, which would be a stain. I can still see that the beautiful grain or the tone underneath, or those beautiful highlights, but it's just giving me a little bit more of a rich tone and color. So that next step would be my stain to that wood table, and it would be Richesse. Okay, I'm done with this wood table. I don't need to see the grain, the natural grain anymore. So then I would paint it, and that's going to be more of your permanent technology, Majorelle, Anoa options, right? So I always like to share that analogy, just because a lot of us hairdressers are visual people, and sometimes that tends to help when you think, okay, when am I going to use Richesse? When am I going to use Dia-Lite? And that tends to help a little bit.
Thank you so much for joining me for part 2 of Total Color Fundamentals. Make sure to join me for part 3, where we will be discussing L'Oreal Professionnel's permanent hair color portfolios. Thank you.